think that when the yeses accumulate and when you can structure and organize your life around what you value and what your core values truly are, then that leads to longevity. That leads to you being able to stay creative for a long amount of time and to be able to have high levels of output that feel pretty natural and like you don't have to put in a ton of extra effort because it's just something that's already engaging and energizing to you. And on the flip side, if you're doing things that the no's are accumulating for you and the things that are outside of your core values, it's easy to burn out because you don't like what you're doing in the first place. What's going on? It's been a minute. A couple things I want to point out, the obvious. I'm sitting outside. I'm not inside right now. So if you hear leaves rustling and cicadas buzzing and mopeds flying down 41, that's just all those things happening. I also got rid of I wouldn't say I fired the podcast service, but I had a subscription that I wasn't really using and they weren't that useful. They actually made the videos look grainy and not good. So I'm just recording on my phone. I do have a microphone and I will upload this just as a raw file. I liked what I just recorded. I feel like if I'm doing this every day, I'm actually like not horrified to record this and hit publish. This has been it's been good. I feel like it's in alignment, and I think this one will kick off a snowball effect of a lot of useful, impactful things that are going to be coming up. And if you've got any feedback, got any questions, reach out. Smash that notification button, pound that like button. We'll see you. I'm going to share a little bit about core values and a conversation that I've been having a lot more recently as this has become a lot more front of my mind. So specifically, I want to talk about aligning decisions in your life with core values and how I've done it personally and why I think it's relevant. So I have a sheet here that everybody can make some version of it, but you have personal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, professional, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I only have 1 or 2 professional, and then I have a full list of personal ones. And I didn't include, I guess, like a metaphysical list. So, theology, serving God. I think that's a much longer video and one that maybe I'll get to in the future. But as far as mine, I'll go through what each of them are, and kind of touch a little bit more on them as I keep going with this video. But personally, my top 5: health and physicality, family, courage and freedom, creativity, and then learning and teaching. So those are the 5 that I came up with. Took me about 15, 20 minutes to write a few things out. Probably came up with a list of 10 and then kind of crossed a few out, kind of combined a few. And then professionally, my singular core value is solving complex health challenges with people. So those are my 6, I guess. And a lot of the personal ones kind of carry over into the professional in a sense that I've created my life and I've entered a career that honor what I love to do from a personal standpoint. And my sincere hope and intention is that I can honor my craft and my profession by doing what I love and being able to show up and do it well and do it for a long time. So the core values essentially are there so that they can act as a beacon and a guiding light so that you know what direction you want to go in. And I think it starts with understanding what engages you the most and what energizes you the most and what piques your curiosity the most and keeps you engaged and energized. So for me, that I guess that started the most with health and physicality and wanting to, as an athlete, increase my ability to perform and heal and recover and play better. But then also just from experiences that I've had of knowing that, if your health isn't there, it's pretty tough to get anything done in your life, and how that really has to be a big priority in your own life, taking care of yourself so that you can then serve and take care of others and, fulfill whatever your bigger, core purpose is. So for me, it's figuring out what's in alignment that I'm doing in my life and what's not in alignment that I'm doing in my life with those core values. And once you can kind of get a pulse for what that is, decisions are a lot simpler to make. For me, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of that kind of innate voice within my body that says something that's a yes or something that's a no. So I have a really good feeling of what a yes feels like within my own body. And that's usually something that it's almost like a core value reaching out and telling me like, hey, this is something that you're supposed to be doing. On the flip side, I know what a no feels like. My body feels like it turns inwards on itself, and it feels heavy, and it doesn't feel something feels off. And a lot of the time, that's something that's out of alignment with what my core values are. So that's something that I check in on pretty regularly, and I try to make those decisions, because I've noticed with a lot of people that I've looked up to at certain times in my life, a lot of people that have been close to me, and just a lot of people in general, when I hear their stories and when they share things about their health and their life and their career, you really see that the yeses and the nos start to accumulate. And when those yeses accumulate for a long enough time, those are people that, from a pretty general outside looking in standpoint, seem like they have, a pretty, a life that you'd want to emulate in some ways, and a life that you'd want to aspire your own to look like for yourself and for your family and for people around you. When those no's accumulate, that's also when you start to see things fall apart, and a lot of the time it manifests as certain health problems. So I also think that when the yeses accumulate, and when you can structure and organize your life around what you value and what your core values truly are, then that leads to longevity. That leads to you being able to stay creative for a long amount of time, and to be able to have high levels of output that feel pretty natural, and like you don't have to put in a ton of extra effort, because it's just something that's already engaging and energizing to you. And on the flip side, if you're doing things that, the no's are accumulating for you, and the things that are outside of your core values, it's easy to burn out because you don't like what you're doing in the first place. There's also a natural, as you progress and get a little bit older and get more mature, whatever you want to call that, for certain core values to change and to shift. And I'd say that's not burning out, that's more pivoting based on what you feel is truly within the true alignment of your values. So I'm going to touch on each of mine individually. So I'll try not to be too long-winded with this, but personally, I feel like health and physicality, it's the first one on the list. It isn't necessarily in order of what the most important ones are, but like I was mentioning before, if I remember a family member that told me, as he was pretty sick, that if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. That's been something that's echoed in my brain for a long time, in the sense that I've had bouts of not feeling well, and having small things that flare up that were totally within my control, but for some reason I didn't act and take care of myself. The only thing you want when you're in those situations is to feel better and to learn the lesson that you need to, and to then carry that over. And I feel like, since it is one of my core values, it's something that I've been able to learn from other people's advice, and also learn from my own experiences to say, hey, what can I do to make sure that something like this isn't going to be my future again. And then physicality, I feel like that that goes with the health hand in hand, because I enjoy physical competition. I enjoy being able to use my body creatively in different ways that reflect my health and express my health in a way that I like doing that, whether that's baseball or golf, or just training in general, and working with other people in a physical manner. So that's one there. Family, my role is about to change dramatically with family pretty shortly here. I'm about to be a father technically I'm a dad already. I believe that. But as far as my wife giving birth on this plane to a child, that's about to happen could be tonight. It could be, 4 or 5 weeks from now. She's 38 weeks pregnant as of yesterday. So, I'm excited to make my parents grandparents. I'm excited to see my in-laws as grandparents, and to see, my sister as an aunt or whatever you call it, depending on your regional dialect. My wife's sisters as aunts or aunts. My wife's grandma as a great grandma. There's a lot of different roles that I'm excited to step into, and then also see the family grow and the dynamics start to change. And there's also feel the love of what it's like to have a kid that I've created with my wife, and just the things that I've seen people do for their own families is something I've always admired, and something that I'm just ready to step into. So that's a huge core value for me. Courage and freedom, that's something that I could have another podcast about, but it really feels like several years ago, I started to kind of uncover this one a bit, as far as just wanting to be able to share my voice as far as what I felt like I believed was the way that I wanted to live and to have that uninterfered with. So again, I can go on and on about this in another video, but creativity is another one. I feel like I've always needed creative outlets. Unfortunately, writing has always been my best, and I say unfortunately because it seems like nobody reads now. I love to write, always have, and now I'm venturing into the speaking on camera a little bit. I don't know if my words come out as eloquently as I feel like I can type them, but with that said, there's more intonation in my voice, I guess, that is a level that I'm hoping to unlock soon. I'm great for falling asleep too, and learning and teaching is the last one. I've always been enthusiastic about things that I've learned and wanted to share them if I feel like they're worthwhile. So how I feel like all the personal ones can overlap and interlock, I guess, for lack of a better term. When I learn things from a health standpoint and a physicality standpoint, I'm eager to teach. So, when I was younger on different teams that I was on, was, an upperclassman, or I don't know if you guys can hear, it sounded like someone's having a good time driving with the windows down. As a, younger athlete, when I was an older guy on the team or a captain of a team, I loved being able to, pour into and work with some of the underclassmen or the younger guys or the rookies or whatever you want to call it, and be able to help see them along. So I loved that, and then that naturally led me to coach when I was done playing. And then on top of that, anything that crosses kind of categories. So when I can teach things about health, and when I can teach things about, performance and physicality, that starts to interlap. When I can do it in a creative way, since this is my own practice, my own business, I don't need to ask permission to anybody, so I can get as creative as I want to with that. So that brings a bunch of them together. Also on top of that, I feel like it's when a lot of them come together and you can create a business out of it, and you can have your professional life based on it. That's a whole. It's a very freeing feeling to know that I've got that possibility within kind of my fingertips, literally fingertips, if we're talking about like creating something on a digital platform, being able to send it to a lot of people. But it's something that's very freeing, because I know that I'm doing what's within my core values and what energizes me naturally. I think I had some resistance to even recording some of these before, because it felt very, maybe I just didn't have the core values really like nailed down on a piece of paper. It's really nice to have them written down and to look at them and be like, okay, this is my finite understanding of myself. This is what I think I'm supposed to be doing right now at this stage of my life. And this fits into it and this doesn't. So I'm going to do more of this, and I'm not going to do more of this. So that's it's been powerful for me. It's been something that I've revisited a lot lately. And I'll leave with one thought here. So I invite everybody to make a list and start to kind of look at it, whether it's writing it out in a journal, writing it out on a note in your phone, texting it, emailing it to yourself, whatever it is. And I'd be happy to look at yours too, even if I don't really know you that well. But if I do, I feel like it's just a powerful conversation that is pretty short and concise, but can help figure out a lot of things. I'll leave with this one thought. As I was kind of stepping more into realizing that I can spend more of my day teaching and sharing certain things, I got some feedback from a newer practice member here at Circadian. He's a college athlete, and I shared something with him about something that I thought was going to help him from a psychology standpoint. Sports performance, but I'd say it's higher level than that. It's just purpose and overall like understanding of how to learn and how to just not get in your own way. I was sharing something from the inner game of tennis, which is actually the last episode that I put up. But as we had probably a 5-10 minute conversation and talked about a couple of key concepts, he had been reflecting on the past month that he had spent here, as far as making some changes with his physical health, but then also starting to really make changes with his habits and just his health overall. He said to me, this is going to help a lot more people than you think. And I think that hit me pretty hard because I was like, okay, if I'm getting that sort of feedback, I think I'm going in a good direction. Like that's one of the best things I could have heard at that time. You know, this is going to help more people than you think. And you know, when you kind of hit some of those walls, because creativity is one of my core values, you can definitely run into the resistance of like, man, I'm creating things, but it's not getting out there. Nobody's seeing one of the things that I believe is one of the five biggest things about me. Like it's something that's kind of hidden. Um, so that was what I needed to get a little bit more courage to say, hey, I'm gonna actually share this, and I think if it helps me, and I could see like that immediate of a change of stepping into a role of doing more of what one of my core values was, and then immediately getting that sort of feedback from what I've already created and only kind of shared within these walls here, and not really outwardly, then I know that it's just kind of like a tip of the iceberg type thing where there's a lot more good things that are coming, and a lot more good things that are possibilities that are going to come to fruition, and it'll make changes that I can only dream of at this point. And yeah, I think that when you get some little feedback like that, I don't know how if he thought that what he said was as impactful as it was to me, but it's something that knowing that it literally came from just being in alignment with my core values. It gives you that energy to keep going, and it energizes you and encourages you and makes you just feel like what you're doing is making a big impact. So I've always wanted to be that type of person, and I feel like I always have been naturally within like a team kind of environment, within a culture, a community of just being when things are going well and I'm in alignment with those core values, I feel like I'm an advancing personality. I feel like almost everybody is when they're in alignment. So to get that made me kind of hit record and want to record this, and this felt easy. So yeah, this was I don't know. This was an episode of Hangin' With Lee. Thanks for tuning in. Share this with someone that you think could benefit. Write out whatever it is that you think are your core values. Send them over to me. We'll chat. I'll send you more than just a thumbs up emoji. We can talk. So thank you.